Well, graduation season is just about upon us, and for the young graduate in your life who's thinking about those next steps, maybe into a new career, they're gonna need some accessories to set them up for success. That's why they call them successories, I think. And who better to talk us through successories than Jon Thiessen of UN Luggage? And we're standing inside UN Luggage today for our conversation. Thanks for having us down.
You bet. Thanks for coming here.
This is awesome. So when people are coming in looking for like a briefcase or something that makes them seem very professional and helps them in their business pursuits, what sorts of things are you advising them to look for, and what sort of questions do you ask to see what they need?
Well, age does play a part. So if it is sort of graduation that people are looking for, I'm just going to reach over and grab a couple bags here.
See what we got, man.
So there is a couple of differences. So like this is a very sharp briefcase. Very sharp briefcase. Sort of very sharp briefcase. It's usually younger guys, girls like a flap over. It's a style thing. And you know, they sort of look a little more like a messenger bag. They look a little more, you know, it's got a little more flavor to the bag.
Yeah.
Where typically it's sort of older travelers, older business people prefer double handle, and it's just a little more organized. You don't have to deal with the flap, but you don't have the style of this messenger look. And so what we're usually asking is, like, you know, who are you buying for? And then if it's a graduate, we often go or start with sort of flap over briefcases. And then a very important thing would be that they have shoulder straps.
Yeah.
So a lot of them will have a shoulder strap. Most of them are adjustable so that you can sort of get these long enough that they can be worn cross-body. And so when I say sort of a messenger style briefcase, it's something that can be worn at your hip. A lot of these buckles are speedy buckles, is what we call them. So I don't know if you can see that here.
Yeah.
But see, these buckles, these are fakies. So to get this bag open, it's just a quick release. So easy to hold this at your shoulder, get it what you need.
Yeah, totally.
And snap it shut.
So you just get the aesthetic of the buckle here.
You get the aesthetic of the buckle. You know, you still get a full flap case.
Right.
You know, and there's sort of different sizes. This one's a little bit sort of thinner, lower profile.
Yeah.
This is maybe one of our most popular of all time.
Okay.
It's a German brand called Aunts and Uncles, and this is called the Finn. And a lot of guys really like this bag.
Cool.
And I think part of it is because of this wide shoulder strap.
Sure.
Sometimes a thin shoulder strap maybe looks a little bit, you know, too thin for some guys.
Sure. Sure. I mean, and sometimes, like, if you're looking to run across campus because you've overslept your first class, which, let's be honest, that happens a bit more to the guys out there. This is something that,
True.
I mean, I'm just speaking from my own personal experience here. So what makes this brand one of the more popular ones in your estimation? You mentioned the shoulder strap. What other things is making these things fly off the shelves relative to some of these other brands?
Well, I think the look of the leather is that it's meant to sort of get beaten up. So it's not super luxury, you know, like it doesn't, you know, it's just a really good looking bag that looks like you can really wear it in. It's like, you know, good boots or something like that, where, you know, they're meant to take a kicking, you know, and this is sort of the same kind of idea where it's meant to soften up. You know, it's okay if it gets a small coffee stain on it. You can sort of rub that in, work it in, and then, you know, seasonally, if you condition these bags, they last a very long time. And so it's sort of the appeal of a really heavy, you know, leather you can beat up on.
Sure, the coffee stain becomes just part of the fabric of that.
Yeah,
totally. When I look at these, like, I'm thinking about young professional, maybe like a paralegal just starting out, maybe in the law office, running around doing those sort of early career errands, putting in the corporate dues. And this thing also says, I'm here for success and to go further than just, you know, running around doing these sort of dirtier errands.
Yeah, that's sort of it.
I mean, totally. So, okay, these kind of exist in contrast to this other guy over here we were talking about before that come without the straps. And you were mentioning that there's a bit of a different clientele that's looking at a bag like this one.
Usually a little bit older. And so like this one, you can see like the strap is removable. These ones are very fixed. So this is not as easily removable. And it's because younger people like the idea of that messenger bag, right? So
Yeah.
they may have sort of graduated out of a messenger bag. They might still like that shoulder strap, but they want to get into their briefcase like they could a messenger bag. And where sometimes older customers want to just carry this in their hand, they don't want a shoulder strap because they might have a suit on, so not, wrinkling a suit. And some of them times, once they sort of are into their career, they're traveling with a bag, so they want something that'll sit on top of a suitcase, and you don't have to deal with the flap.
Right. You don't deal with this kind of strappy thing sort of flipping around all over the place.
Yeah.
This is just already set and dried.
Yeah.
When somebody's coming in here looking for that briefcase, and maybe you're not sure if they're maybe a new graduate, or maybe they're getting to a place where they don't need a shoulder strap anymore, like you were saying, what sorts of questions does your expertise sales staff go through to make sure that they are getting the proper briefcase into the proper hands?
Well, if it's a gift, you're always kind of taking a risk, but things can be brought back. People can bring something back in exchange and make it's sometimes good to sort of come back with a laptop. Make sure your laptop fits into the briefcase. Make sure you can sort of bring what you're day-to-day packing in. Like when you're saying paralegal, there are bags that are much bigger than this, because some of them are lugging around massive amounts of paperwork.
Yeah, and legal paperwork with the bigger paper.
And so you're kind of, you're taking a shot at something, and then I'd say a lot of people actually come in here asking for a black bag. They expect that they're going to be buying a black briefcase, but the most popular brands sort of have almost gone away from black. There is almost no black to be had, because everybody, like boots or belts, seems to like to have a tan, a brown. It has a little more pop. It looks a little more natural. The leather just wears a little bit, sort of wears in a little bit better than a black bag.
Yeah.
So that's also something that's a little bit different.
I am case in point today with my brown belt.
Yeah.
And brown
exactly.
shoes. The other thing I'm noticing,
exactly.
There we go. I mean, so I'm also noticing that in contrast to like what we might think of as like a stereotypical sort of a briefcase, these all are soft-shelled and a bit more malleable, maybe a little bit easier to get what you need out of a bag if it's got that sort of breathable, expandable space to it.
There are bags that are more structured, but not as popular. So we do have those too. So there are bags that are sort of, there's framed, briefcases.
Sure.
There's attaches, like those ones over there, which are very sort of old school. If you want to slide one of those out.
This sort of classic. This sort of
this is some people call them briefcases. We traditionally call these attaches. I'd be kind of surprised if somebody would end up with this for a graduate.
Yes.
And so something like this, it's actually, we have sometimes construction people, because they want this open on the seat beside them. We have real estate agents who sometimes want this open on a car seat beside them.
Sure.
Sure. And some people like the security because they can be locked. They can't, they can be. But there's no shoulder strap. There's no stuffability. They're not made for laptops. They're not really made for tablets. It's just a very old school, organizer.
And again, like we mentioned, like the real estate agent, we mentioned maybe the more senior person in a construction or contracting firm, somebody who's been around the block a time or two and maybe doesn't need that same sort of shoulder strap.
That's right.
As we were looking for before.
Yeah.
What do you like? What else do you look for when it comes to this brand, Aunts and Uncles, that makes it stand out from some of the other products that you have got going on around here as I look around at all these other incredible bags?
Well, so I like this front panel, especially on their leather bags, because they don't seam it. So typically, leather gets cheaper the more pieces it's in. So if you have one full piece of leather, it should be a more expensive bag than something that would have 3 strips stitched together.
Gotcha.
People sometimes really are attracted to the linings. Some of them are pretty poppy. Like this is a really, I don't know, you can.
Oh yeah.
It's a, pretty bright out there sort of lining. Some people like it. Some people, don't find it. So these are unbuckled from the bottom. So just press that down.
Oh, nice.
And this one is a sort of a more traditional plaid.
But even then,
lining.
you get like a really fun
Yeah.
sort of a plaid pattern here
Yep.
with what we're looking at.
They have very nice attention to detail, like the back side of both of these bags. If you were a younger traveler, if you unzipper the back pocket of your
Oh,
bag
yeah.
there, this elastic is actually meant to go over the handle of a suitcase. So
Nice.
this could be strapped on to
Absolutely.
any other bag you're taking along.
Something like this gives
Yeah.
somebody, if you're in an airport, very easy access to like a tablet or a laptop or something
and then
like
this
that.
comes over top the handle of your bag.
Ah,
So a nice little detail.
they're really thinking about everything here. That's
yeah.
really, really handy.
But yeah, color is important, size of the laptop's important.
Yeah.
And then just the style. Like this one looks a little bit heavier than that. Looks a little bit
Yep.
chunkier.
Sure.
And
Sure.
Yeah.
There's, I'm also noticing over in this corner here, there's some
Yeah.
leather treatment products to
Sure.
make sure that if you are the kind of person like me who schlepped their bags all over their college campus and maybe, did their bag a little bit worse than they deserved.
Yeah.
There's products over here that you can actually also help to maintain this
Yeah.
bag and make it a part of your professional life for years to come.
yeah, leather conditioner, seasonally is, plenty. Once a year for sure. But yes, every season it's great to sort of apply some leather conditioner and make sure your leather bag is lasting as long as it can.
Absolutely. All the things that you can check out right here at UN Luggage on McDermott Avenue in the Exchange District. Jon, thanks so much for having us down
Nolan.
here and checking out all these awesome bags. And all the best for whichever graduate gets to take this guy home.
Right on.